Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Brainbox Episode 3. Today we're talking about the power of preparedness versus networking. The power of preparedness versus networking. So just to spark this conversation, I want to talk about how my first $10,000 cash boost was a connection of connections. Yes, I said it. A connection of connections. So if you don't have people who are going to connect you, it's going to be very difficult to, make an impact, get people to pay you, get people to see your value. So I'll give you a short story. So I met a certain gentleman in the state of Iowa, in Des Moines, who's quite a billionaire. Well, I didn't just rock up to him and meet him. I had to look for a way to meet him. So the first thing I did was I had a series of meetings with people who I was selling my case to. I was telling them about my project. I was telling them about the impact of, the project I was doing. I'll tell you that impact of that particular project. So I was looking at, changing the narrative of Africa, getting people to see that there's value in Africa, there's potential, there's innovation, there's a lot of things that are happening in Africa that, people don't know about. And, we want to do something about it. So we're going to retell the story in such a fascinating and exciting way. And we've already set up a model of how we're going to do this. So as I was telling these certain people and they were buying into my vision, they set up a consortium of people which became my board. And they started setting up meetings for me with different people who had influence. I had an opportunity to go to different conferences, share experiences with the leaders, talk about, very exciting projects, and also show some of the things that I was actually doing in Iowa. So through this, there was an opportunity to meet this great guy. And I said, hey, I want to meet him. I want to talk to him. So I had a 5-minute interval to have a conversation with him. And when I was talking with him in those 5 minutes, I got him to see how it was important for me to go to his office. Well, he invited me to his office and he said, hey, come over to my office and, let's talk about this in more detail. I got an opportunity to go to his office a couple of hours later. And in those 2 hours, I was thinking about what am I going to say? What am I going to talk about? How am I going to show him that, hey, I'm a quite a serious person? So the first thing I did as I was explaining to him the project and how we're going to change the narrative, I opened the website. And our website wasn't really anything fascinating at that stage. I think it looks a lot better now. It wasn't really there, but it told the story. It told the story of what we wanted people to see about Africa, the visuals. It had the big picture. And the first thing he said was, what would you do if I gave you $10,000? What impact would you make? And I told him, I'll go straight to my country and do these few changes, start telling these few stories, even go through the story of my own city and other cities around my country. And we'll start, telling the story in such an exciting way. That's how I did it. The power of preparedness. So if I didn't know any better, if I didn't have this website, if I didn't have this language, if I didn't know how to communicate to these people, it was going to be very difficult for me, this particular person. And that's just one example of the people that I've met in my life who have started making huge changes. Now I meet bigger people in bigger places, talking about an investment of millions of dollars, talking about we want to get into this project and into that project, and we want you to show us how to do it. And where do I get the confidence? The confidence is in preparedness. I've had many years of practicing and practicing and practicing. What is my elevator pitch? What am I going to do when I meet somebody who wants to put a bit of money in my company? What am I going to do when I meet a person who wants to know about the services that I offer? What am I going to do when I meet people who are going to be excited about the first 3 things that I talk about? What are those 3 things? So as you do whatever you do, whatever business that you do, whatever project that you do, whatever organization, it might be a charity organization, you should have things that spell out empathy, that makes somebody want to be a part of, that makes people with the money want to pay for it. And once you do that, you attach yourself with a series of connections that becomes your network. So somebody said your network is your net worth. Because around the people who are in your phone book, your email list, the people that you have as friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these other social media platforms, if you use that network right, you can go anywhere you want to. And when I say anywhere, I'm saying literally anywhere. Okay, probably now because there's COVID, you're limited at where you'll go physically. But you can actually go there and talk to these people and encourage them to be part of your project if you want to. So you need to start thinking clearly and carefully about the people that surround you. You need to start thinking clearly and carefully about the people that you talk to. What do you spend your time talking about? When you have a list of important people, do you send messages to these people? And what do you say to them? Do you excite them to want, for them to want to call you and say, hey, so Jack, what are you up to this week? Can we have coffee? Can we have a Zoom call? Can we talk about your latest project? Do you have a narrative of the things that you post on your social media pages that make people want to communicate about your next following projects? So here's a tip from me to you. You need to make sure that you prepare yourself with your network. You can't just jump to every billionaire out there and tell them a pitch because it doesn't make sense. You've got to have a conversation that encourages that person to want to partner with your project. Now, the person I was telling you about, I just told him about the things I was doing, but all I wanted from him was an interview for a documentary. And now he sits on one of the most important platforms that supports some of our businesses. You want to have those sort of people everywhere you go. People who are going to say, hey, I want to be part of this. What can I do to be part of this? Hey, I want to be somebody who can be an agent for your product. Hey, I want to be that person who in Indonesia, when people talk about your product, I will say I am that ambassador. How do you create that loyalist clientele, loyalist ambassadorship, loyalist friendship and network everywhere you are? For people to have the confidence to talk about you in your absence, you have to have the preparation. You have to know what to do and what to say. And when you do all that, you have to be able to transfer all that knowledge to everyone around you. It means wherever you are, you have to be talking about your business with passion, your project with passion, your organization with passion. You gotta make people adapt to it so much that when they relate to you, they know, oh, if it's Jack, it's about narrative. If it's Jack, it's about stories. If it's Jack, it's about things that have to do with changing a perception. And hey, whenever they think about anything else, they know, hey, this is the go-to person for these sort of things. So are you that person in your area of expertise? I'm going to go in the next episode deeper in this kind of subject because I know it's something that we can really dig into and we can really find some solutions. But what I want to leave you with today is that make sure you start fine-tuning yourself. Even if you don't have the capital for your big mining project, start researching now on the type of minerals that you want to sell. Even if you don't know exactly the type of crop you want to do in your agriculture, start researching now on the little piece of land that you have. It might be 10 square meters, it might be 20, whatever it is that you have. Perfect your skill there. You start looking for some seed, just a little bit of seed. You start putting it there. Start trying to see if you flower it in a certain way, if you put some water in a certain way, if whatever it is that you have, start cultivating it now before it makes you money. You don't want to make mistakes when it makes you money. On another episode, I'm going to tell you about the mistakes that I've made, when I got in investors in the wrong places and things were happening and, I made so many losses. You want to make mistakes in the most minimalistic way. So what you want to do is you want to practice with the things that you do for free, with the things that you offer for people, with the things that you say, hey, I want you to test out my project. And when people are testing out your product, when people are testing out whatever it is that you're doing, you're actually doing your market research and you're learning. But also at the same time, you're creating a very rich network. I could go all and on and on about what I'm talking about. But all I can say today is prepare. Prepare for the next person you're going to meet. Prepare for the next conversation that you're going to have. Make sure you're saying the right thing. Make sure you know exactly what that person wants. And make sure you're telling them how they can benefit from a future conversation with you. It should not always be about money. Money should be the end result. It should be about the relationship that you create with everybody that you talk to. This is me with you today, Brainbox. Be prepared.